Relooking at the topic, listing website, I would like to maybe summarize using this tagline, ICT in real estate. Why is it important, ICT in real estate? Well, we understand that it is ICT as a big words, big changes in the future because ICT is the in thing for a lot of time business move, moving into a global manner. So a small business from small township can now approach the world in a different platform, like what Jack Ma used to say. All the SME from small towns now is selling their items and their products to the World Wide Web. Big future because there's a lot of potential. Your market suddenly become uh, trillion dollar market. In fact, that is the way how you look at the involvement of Alibaba in China. So it touches on a few of these words that I want to just briefly go through. One is AI, artificial intelligence. Next is machine learning. And then you have big data, also data processing and business intelligence. Ultimately, you still require some mathematics and also how to use the data called data science. So generally for me to just cover this part, I would just like to mention that in the old days, you probably don't need to use telephone as internet was not in existence. Now you use your telephone not because you need to call people, you need to talk to people, but you need to search for information. And the information that is presented actually go through all these 7 points. That is, it actually track from the sense that the information he been searched. Let's say you pick up your phone and then you search something. That meaning to search, maybe you search Coca-Cola. Then this Coca-Cola search has been uh, picked up by the machine, which is the computer. And then the computer will say, okay, one more person search Coca-Cola today. So when they collect all these searches of Coca-Cola, they will know that by the end of the day or the week or the month, how many people search this particular interest area. Then they will know that, okay, there will be a lot of people interested in this Coca-Cola. Therefore, Coca-Cola is in high demand. So this big data to study and then also to process the data is actually the reason why all this information can be made use of into producing a product in the future or studying the market to tailor-make for a possible new product launch. So this area where you in fact touch from the ground level to the higher level into even the director's boardroom for the business intelligence to come up with a new maybe a new strategy. So ICT in real estate in this sense is a bit story to tell. In fact, ICT in real estate was not possible in the old days because real estate is a very inefficient market. Why it means by inefficient is because most people when they deals in real estate, they actually do not record it down. In a way, it's not like a stock market where people see stock market prices up and down every day in real life. You actually have a live feed to see how a price move from the beginning of the day until the end of the day. But for real estate, this does not happen. In a long time um, to it take a long time to in fact close and seal the transfer, meaning to say when a person go and see a property until the moment that property is sold and then how much is it sold, and it's not even recorded down in any format until very recently. In the inefficient market, it is in fact not able to capture information. Market that very much efficient example like stock market and stock market where trading can be seen on a live feed. You know how many stock has been exchanged over the time, and then what is the price and whether it goes up or down. You can see the trend, in fact, in a daily manner. Whereas an inefficient market means that there is uh, all all the informations are not transmitted in a manner that it is captured. A lot of time the market doesn't look uh, doesn't look transparent lah, in that sense. It's not efficient and not transparent. A lot of information are not disclosed. So a lot of time in real estate business, this is the case. And a lot of the situation is that because they are under-reporting, or there are reason that um, the information is not captured, therefore you cannot be certain whether what you hear in the market is the correct information. And a lot of time, even the Jabatan Perkhidmatan Penilaian Hartanah, in the sense, the part that really capture the data for purpose of payment of stamp duty, the information is rather late. A lot of time it takes months after the transaction has completed for the payment of the stamp duty, and also for eventual release of the data. So all this data, in the sense that in Malaysia now, is captured under NAPIC, and this part, a lot of data need to be clean also, for the purpose that the public, or the agency that deals with the data, in this case the BRICS, buys the data from the JPPH, and then BRICS.my clean the data and then produce the data for analysis. So this part, for a long of time, is delayed, and then it is historical data. It is not data that you may be able to use for a purpose of 100% application. Probably I can explain it in a direct manner that what you see last in the data could be half a year ago, and the current situation may have changed, and therefore the information is as a guide, but not going to be very meaningful. A lot of time, this also means that uh, real estate, in fact, is somewhere in between buying things by luck, and also by gut feeling, rather than following a transparent price. Probably as we move on, the digitalization of the industry in the future, maybe this this part of the issue can be overcome. This part of the issue can be overcome because in some countries, transaction can be done within days, and data be reported immediately. So this is, of course, agency coordination, and as well as the information release to the public. So I'll just summarize it like this. Basically, they're saying that the inefficient market is changing. We are looking at ICT use in digitalization of real estate. Real estate is big ticket item, so it becomes very important to know decision making for correct investment. Again, one of the major reason that digitalization or data capture is important for real estate is because real estate is geographical dependent. That means something which is permanent, and something which has got more consistent um, prediction into the future. A place which is prime usually would be prime for the next few years. It's not going to be a scenario that yesterday it was a prime spot, and tomorrow it becomes a slum. So likely this information about being a prime area, if captured, is still useful for future prediction. And likely all this interaction between the data capture, data analysis would yield to value proposition, a certain real estate would have a higher value than the other lah. Because of that particular reason, the data capture purpose or ICT use in real estate becomes sustainable over time. So at the end, it is big money because advertising and getting sales of real estate, in fact, brings in a lot of revenue for the builders and all the developers. And the use of this data is actually empowers the users, like developers also, and also buyers and public at large, for empowerment of choice, making a decision of choice. And in the current stat as we move on to big data. In fact, even individualized match or individualized fit to a certain segment of the market. So this way of looking at ICT use in real estate is in fact pointing to the direction that it is a very bright and very ambitious future for use of ICT in real estate industry. Example, we use the three example here. Simply said, price per unit area is one of the example how data capture for ICT will be a decision maker in dealing of real estate because you tend to look at, well, is it higher than the normal price per unit area, or are you buying at a reasonable price per unit area? Average house size also for a builder, for a developer, is also very important because this information would in fact optimize its use in the space and then make houses tailor-made for the use of the public, which probably follow a certain type of size. Floor area per person is also an important factor because there are areas where people do not want to stay in a small place, and there are countries later you see that in fact their floor area per person is very big. Lastly, to highlight to you that comparative index is my own personal specialization area. I have done a website called contract2you.com, which emphasize on comparing properties by using the benefits comparison. So inter-property index is what I would like to go on in the sub-specialized area of real estate analytics. So this chart actually shows you on the bricks property market condominium on the 2017 May, on the 12 months basis, the tracking of the sales of condominium sub-sale market. So you can see that this will give you a geographical image of where there is a transaction for sub-sale of condominium. The one that below also put in the per square feet price per condominium. So you can see that in certain area or in certain states, the per square feet price area is higher than the other states. So these are example of use of per square feet area on transaction of property and price of property. House size in this case, you can see World Bank that in that sense, average Malaysians are staying in a space of 1,264 square feet. So of course, if you compare to other countries around our region, there are places like Indonesia and Cambodia, they are in fact staying in a smaller than 500 square feet space. So this means to say, maybe in some countries, there are heavily density area where the properties are very expensive, so they tend to put more people into one unit of a house. Well, these are useful informations, and ICT capture of these informations will be useful for builders and developers to construct the supply of houses. The other area to look at is the per square feet price and affordability in comparing to regions around us. So look at this purchasing power parity. In fact, Malaysia is still okay lah. But Malaysia is in general at 376,900 square feet types of property. This is still below the average likely because our pricing for bigger cities are all reaching about 500,000 per square feet. So doing a little maths calculation, you can get around 6 times. That means your in GDP per capita average income about 63,000 ringgit a year. So you take 6 years to pay up your house. In some places, they actually say that affordability for housing, it should be a good affordable house should be paying up within 3 years. now we are looking at beyond 3 years, up to 6 years already. So if in relative to the affordability by the earlier standard, then we are actually unaffordable. But if you use this comparing comparison to other countries like Hong Kong or even Myanmar, which is almost 94 times, it is almost unimaginable. The top 10 highest value location in the world currently is the top 10 is all basically China. China took up 1, 2, 3. So China actually lists 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10, including Hong Kong, Singapore, Vancouver, Los Angeles, Paris, and London. In fact, Sydney and Auckland are coming up. So these are the regions where Chinese population have exodus on the buying of the property in these places. Likely, you look at Shah Alam price for per square feet average price on a period of January to September 2015. So information of this sort can be useful for thinking about how to strategize your buying. So during the time where it is low, then it may be the reason for choice of buying. So in the old days, when all this information were not available, people tend to just blindly go into the property market. ICT into real estate maybe can classify, this is my own classification into 3 areas. One is website, another one social media, and the third is telecommunication. So for website, you know that it can be an agency website or a third-party website like Muda. Then for social media, there are so many now in the use. Facebook is one, YouTube, LinkedIn, and all the types of Instagram similar. Likely, forum will be classified as social media because it is a social platform for exchange of information. And then you can actually date back to long years ago. Lowyat.net has been around for many years, but these are a platform that is evolving. In fact, now probably people are looking at Facebook, not much of this type of old forum. Messenger, like in the case of WhatsApp, this will be short messages and on the handphone. So this can in fact be one of the way of using messages to convince or influence your users or your clients. So generally website is one, next is social media, and then the messaging methods. So what is the listing of website and what is its definition, and also what are the common issues of a website, and what is better than website, and what are the solution, in fact are the subsequent presentation. Website in the listing of the products are usually for sale, for advertisement. And next is that you can see in this slide the general way how most of the listing website appears. Next is that the website is in fact different for listing for property because a lot of time it's map related. So there is a lot of requirement for location because location is one of the major factor for deciding to rent or buy a property. So this is different from general e-commerce website. E-commerce website usually would not need a map to indicate that the product is manufactured in a factory. So this is particularly a distinguishable factor for real estate listing website. And also website can appear in personal computer or in tablet, in laptop or in handphone nowadays. So the infrastructure or the architecture of the technical site may be different, but the idea is that the content and the purpose of the website has to be clear and straightforward. So simple format, in fact, is about how much of information about this space need to be put in. A lot of time we have this problem also because a lot of website captures certain amount of information, and then a lot of time people do not fill in the information or do not put in accurate information. So when the users go into this type of website, it becomes very frustrating because some of the informations are omitted, some of the information are in fact irrelevant. So similarly is the map and the geographical location, and there are also amenities that are related to this location for evaluation or for consideration of the buyer and also the investor. So these are similar to what we are looking at in buying a handphone. What are the features of the handphone? So all these features need to be detailed and looked at before a decision of buying is triggered lah. So these are reasons a lot of websites are not equipped with all this data capture. Real estate practitioner, you need to know how you want to be different from others, what is your niche area and your market segment, and to design your strategy so that your website would craft out a difference among all the other websites in the sea of advertisements. Likely you'll have common issues like information is not standardized. People tend to even use different measurements. Platforms is evolving because we have the moving goalposts, and then likely the infrastructure of IT is also a dynamic improvement over time, and the dynamic of real estate. Dynamic of real estate, in fact, not so much in the old days, because people tend to just view real estate as like a place to stay. Now the real estate dynamics is changing to a lifestyle, meaning to say people tend to look at a house as a lifestyle, and they should have facilities on certain level to be called a home. So in the old days, people stay in cave, and then they will say, okay, there is a roof, it is a shelter. But now a roof is not enough. A roof is just the basic structure, and you are looking at even condominium providing dance floor, condominium providing even a restaurant inside. So these are dynamics of changes in the real estate scenario. Also, there are dynamics of people. People tend to be working in different places. They need higher tailor accommodations, like people who probably need high speed internet. So these are dynamics of the people that changes the landscape of demand for certain types of real estate products. So there are moving targets and moving expectations, and therefore the ICT use is trying to merge these two. That means the moving of the expectations hopefully can be narrowed. The gap can be narrowed by use of ICT, and the ICT is able to maybe give a higher accuracy on the information for the decision making to the real estate industry. So in the summary, just to highlight a few of the major factors and also major discussion points. So real estate is in fact merging with IT or ICT technology, and in fact you cannot see any industry that is not assimilating the technology advancement. And information is basic needs of a decision making. So good and accurate, timely information is indispensable piece of machinery in the decision making for an industry, especially high price, high ticket, big ticket industry like real estate. Big data and data analysis and data science is going to make up a lot of work for decision making in shaping the future in most of the industry, especially more consumer related or behavior related type of industry. And food is one. Similarly, home is a shelter is another for decision making for majority of the public. Moving target as in unsettling means that a lot of time the expectation of what to get as a good level of satisfaction is also a moving target. And on the other side, the supply side on the types of the product and types of property is also a moving target, and in between the ICT is itself also a moving advancing and also evolving technology. So all these moving targets hopefully can bring up higher level of satisfaction among the users. We need to also look at the standardization of the information data, in the fact that if you have consistently same data, then you can make better choices, because you can compare them in a better light. And that is the purpose of using contract to yield, using inter-property index. So the new wave of change for ICT use in the future for real estate is imminent, and imminent in a way that it may be indispensable for the fact that to make decision and on a big ticket item, ICT advancement is a requirement, a basic requirement. Thank you very much. I am Thomas Sim. My number is as display. I can be contactable at the email address. Thank you very much.